Welcome to Return on Insights, the show where candid conversations with bold founders and leaders spark actionable insights for your business. I'm David Lindover.
And I'm Erin Abatangelo. Every week, we pull back the curtain with leaders who are scaling teams and shaping the future, sharing the insights that create impact far beyond the bottom line.
Discover how high-performing companies build enduring cultures, inspire teams to think bigger, and turn vision into action. If you see storytelling as your strategic advantage, you're in the right place. In this episode, we sit down with Zach Trumble, CEO of Fide Freight, to explore what it looks like to lead with intention in a complex and evolving industry. Known for prioritizing long-term relationships over transactional wins, we'll talk about how Fide's people-first culture, flexible service model, and transparent communication have driven consistent growth in niche freight markets. We'll talk about how trust, team adaptability, and clarity in decision-making have shaped the company's success without sacrificing its values. If you're leading a team, scaling a business, or navigating complexity, you're sure to get some nuggets from this conversation. Welcome, Zach, and thanks for taking time to share your experiences and insights with us today.
Yeah, absolutely, David. Thank you so much for having me here. Happy to be here.
So when we spoke, I learned that Fide Freight was built around long-term partnerships instead of quick wins. How has that focus helped you make clearer decisions about who you work with and how you grow?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, David. Our founder, Zach Wilcox, really laid a magnificent foundation with that vision in mind, right? What happens when you treat people the right way and you're in it for the long haul, right? And it shapes the way we do everything. Right? We don't just jump right into a call and just say, hey, we can do it all. We're going to give you all these quotes. We're going to give you all these numbers. It's a little bit more of a slower interaction, right? We need to see what is going on in their business and if we can provide them value, right? In the freight industry, it's all too often, what can you do for me right now? Not really thinking about the future, very transactional. Right. And so the partnership mindset is going to allow you to have sustained long-term success. And people who understand the value of a relationship are exactly who we're looking for. Right. I had a really good professor in college, and he said, if you get business on price, you lose business on price. Right. And so anytime Johnny Come Lately opens up his shop right down the road for 5 cents cheaper, your customer base is sayonara. Right. And so if you build on relationships, right? Long-term trust, equal value on both ends, you have sustainable business that can weather some adverse market conditions, all the crazy things that happen in life and business, as we all know.
Great principles, and I operate in a very similar fashion, so it's near and dear to my heart. You said that your team adapts to the client, not the other way around.
Yeah.
What's helped you keep that mindset as you're scaling your company?
Yeah, I think the big thing is we're a service-based company, right? We don't have any products. We don't have any assets. Our service is our value. So understanding that at our most organic, boiled down level, our job is to remove things from our partners' plates. It is to make their life easier. Right. And so keeping that as our focal point and the lens at which we view everything allows us to have that partnership approach and kind of change the way that we interact with our clients. Right. We want to adapt to their processes. We want to meld to the way they do things in an effort to make them more efficient. Right. It's always been interesting to me where a partner, service-based company, whoever they are, says, hey, we're here to help you. But in order for us to help you, here's all these hoops. We're going to light them on fire. Good luck jumping. If you make it to the end, we'll see you there, and then we can help you.
So true. So true. I've seen it before myself. And again, because I'm in a service business as well, it's very much about adapting to the client's needs.
Yeah.
And, and taking the load off of their backs. That's why they're working with us. So
yeah, 100%.
On a related matter, can you share a specific example where your team's commitment to core values directly led to a positive outcome for your client or for the business?
Absolutely. It's a great question, David. For us, we are always connecting with our clients, right? We run quarterly business reviews to try to figure out what's going on in their business. Again, the partnership mindset, right? If we can help you accomplish your goals, then we're going to be a good partner. And so one of the times we're talking to one of our customers, and one of the focal points of these discussions is always pain points, whether it's relevant to Fide's relationship with our customer or just the customer in general. What we were finding is they were using really specialized trailers that are really hard to come by and really expensive, right? And they're saying, hey, our budget, our costs are way too high on this lane. So we said, okay, what is going on with this lane? What are the details? How are you running it? Well, they were using full dry vans with lift gates. Lift gates are really hard to come by on a full 53-foot dry van. It is going to narrow your capacity pool, and it is going to make your rate go through the roof, right? So we got together with our team, and a lot of our customers are equipment rental providers, right? And so we got with some people in network and said, hey, you have a location 25 miles away from this receiver. What would it cost to rent a forklift over here to unload the truck at delivery, because they don't have a lift gate or a dock, right? Now it takes a little bit more on both ends, right? We now need to get a driver that is willing to use a pallet jack to bring all the freight to the tail, right? To tailgate the product, if you will. And then we have to outsource a forklift to come in and then unload the product. But even with paying a little bit more for a driver assist and outsourcing the forklift, we can now expand our capacity pool back to all the dry vans that are on the road. And it is much cheaper to do it that way than to look for this really needle in the haystack type of trailer. So it really allowed us to provide a solution to our customer. Whether they wanted to use us or not, this solution was going to be viable for them. They did end up moving forward with us, which was excellent. And it also was only possible because we had the close-knit relationships currently with our customers and our network. It was 2 calls in network, and yep, we can do that. There was no cold calling of equipment rental places. There was no wild goose chase. So it was a really nice example of how good relationships continue to lead to good business and good relationships.
And you put the work in, which is key.
Yes, it always starts with that.
Good example. When we spoke, you talked about your past, and mentorship seems to be a big part of how you're leading now. What does it look like in practice at Fide, and how did you help your team grow into leaders themselves?
Yeah, so for me, I was really lucky. I had a lot of really good leaders early on in my career that kind of taught me what you want to do and also what you don't want to do, right? And so having somebody to set the boundaries and examples like that for you is absolutely essential. And so being able to work with somebody who has some experience and proactively avoid obstacles is really, really huge for decreasing the ramp to development, right? If I can tell you, hey, in 10 steps, there's going to be a pothole. You're going to want to take 2 steps to the left. And then 5 steps after that, there's going to be a hurdle. You're going to jump a little bit, and then it's going to be smooth sailing. Whereas when my mentor walked down the path, they twisted their ankle in the pothole. They fell down. They skinned their face. They were out of commission for a week. It got back up, probably a little too early. Ankle wrap still on. Didn't see the hurdle. Fell again. Got worse, right? And you can learn from all the experience that other people have if you're willing to connect and dive in with them. And so for us, it all comes back to Fide as a company. The name Fide is an acronym, right? Foundation, investment, dependability, and empowerment, right? So we lay the foundation with hiring solid people, solid training. We continue to invest in our people with continued training, mentorship. This creates dependable people and structured systems and allows them to feel ownership and empowerment over everything they're doing, right? So long story longer, for the mentorship piece here at Fide, it's essential in everything that we do. We bring people in, they immediately start shadowing and training, and then they are rocking with a mentor as they develop in their career themselves, right? Getting some hands-on experience, being able to swim in the deep end with floaties, right? So that they're not getting all the water in their nose and not wanting to go back in the pool again.
Got it. Good answer. You put a lot of effort into recognizing your team and developing people. What's helped you build the kind of culture where people want to grow and take ownership?
Yeah, another great question, David. This one is maybe a hot take here. I don't know. Culture, I think, becomes a little bit of a buzzword these days, right? Everybody throws it everywhere and just culture here and culture here, and we're a family and all this stuff. And I think it gets really risky to start blurring those lines of business and family, and then weaving it all together with the culture bow. So for us, creating a culture of ownership, we really aim to structure ourselves like a championship team, right? We all have a overarching mission, and within that mission, we have our specific roles. And if we do it correctly, we understand that if we execute our role, it will inherently help push us forward to the overarching goal, a la our championship. And so you can still love people on a championship team, right? But you love them in a professional way. You set boundaries, you hold them accountable, you have expectations, you have challenging discussions when people aren't doing what they need to do. You help them out when they need to be helped, but it's not a family. You're not going to get unconditional love here. There are expectations, you are getting paid, and we have a job to do at the end of the day, right? And we're going to do everything we can to support you and give you the best chance at success humanly possible. But we also are going to hold you accountable, and we're going to set the appropriate expectations. And when you cut through a lot of the pontificating on what's expected and what's going on, you now allow people to move with speed because they know exactly what's expected of them, and they can hone in and get really good at what they do.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. You're upfront about walking away from misaligned business. How do you make those calls? What does the clarity do for your culture, if we want to call it that, and your reputation?
Yeah, I think walking away from misaligned business is something that kind of inherently presents itself via the way we do business. When we are talking to somebody, we're going to dive in and figure out what their business makeup is comprised of, and if there are areas in which we can provide value. All too often see folks say, yep, we can do everything. We can do everything in transportation. We do it all, right? And that's, in my opinion, not the right way to go about it, right? We have our core competencies in which we're really good, but transportation is a very, very broad industry. And so an example, right? We get on the phone, we're talking to somebody, figuring out what their freight matrix is like, what their makeup is. We come to find out, hey, we're all small package, LTL, small parcel, right? A lot of folks will say, well, we can do LTL. We'll give you some quotes, right? Instead, we're going to say, all right, what are you normally running? What are your top lanes? What are you paying, right? And it's going to become pretty apparent that they have a volume discount with all the LTL providers, and it's not a good fit for us, right? So instead of having our sales or operations representative quote all these loads way more expensive than they're currently getting, waste their time, their operational bandwidth, essentially trying to get blood from a rock here, we're going to say, hey, we really appreciate the time. This is not a good fit for us right now. If and when your business grows and you have some partial shipments or some full truckloads, or God forbid, a time-sensitive shipment where LTL is not necessarily going to get it done, please keep us in mind, and we move on. And keeping in mind that there's opportunity cost to everything, right? What are you losing with what you're doing? And so we always try to keep that in mind in terms of, is this the right opportunity? If not, there's power in admitting that it's not the right opportunity for us. This is not what we're good at. And we're going to go recalibrate, realign, and find something where it does make sense for us in our business.
That's a great practice. All too often, people spend time needlessly, trying to get the business because that's what they think the right thing to do is. And in reality, they're wasting your time and their time.
Absolutely.
It's really not going to work, right? It's not your sweet spot. You got to move on, be respectful of their time, and gain back the time for yourself. So very good practice. So let's talk a little bit in the future now. So as tech like AI and automation becomes more common, how are you thinking in your business about adopting it while keeping your human first approach intact? It's a balance.
Bringing the heat today, David. I love it. Again, another word, phrase, whatever. AI is everywhere, right? Artificial intelligence, automation. You want it in your business. We do it. It's going to make everything perfect. For us, we are a people first company and will always be a people first company. When people call Fide Freight, they need to understand that they're going to get a person on the phone, right? And that it's really hard to develop a relationship with a robot. Now, being that our service is our core competency, we're probably not going to inject artificial intelligence into our customer facing service portions of our business or our carrier relationship service of our business, right? However, as it pertains to us, transportation is an industry that is riddled with repetitive, monotonous tasks, ripe for automation. So for us, we're going to look and peel back the layers at, okay, who's doing a bunch of repetitive automated things? What can we do to solve this problem? Get it more or less automated. Maybe it's not 100% automated. Maybe it's 75% automated. But now they have 75% more time back in their day as it relates to that specific task that they can go do some more value-added activities, developing deeper relationships, getting more business, whatever it may be. But for us, it's going to be, where can you plug in these pieces of automation that allow people to do a little bit more, right, with a little bit less bandwidth? And then with that additional bandwidth, we put that back in to the core aspects of our business or the relationship building.
Right. I'm curious, do you sense or feel some trepidation amongst your team? Or is, the organization, I won't say culture, that you've built kind of sheltering the team from that because they know and trust that, it's a team effort and it's human centric and automation won't touch that?
Yeah, I think it all starts with open communication, whether it's internal, external. If you are in communication with your team and constantly letting them know what the vision is and what the future looks like, you can proactively avoid a lot of that conjecture that leads to that fear-based, is my job on the line? Am I going to be replaced with a robot? What's going to happen to me? Right. And one of the beautiful things about freight is, as robust as the automation and artificial intelligence is at this point in time, there is a ton of variability on a load by load basis. And moreover, there are multiple humans intertwined to this process. And if there's one thing I know more than anything, is that humans are unpredictable. Yeah. And while they remain intertwined in this process, we are going to need to remain intertwined with the human element of this process as well, to rectify and remedy said situations that arise. Right? In a perfect situation, we don't exist. Carriers work perfectly with customers. Customers work perfectly with shippers and receivers and dispatchers. But as we all know, we don't live in the perfect world. That situation doesn't exist. Here we are. And we're not going to go anywhere anytime soon, because people are abrasive and people sometimes do crazy things. And a lot of times they do great things. But the human aspect is going to remain because it's essential for the success of what we do. When your core competency is service, you don't outsource that. And so for us, bringing it all the way back as it pertains to the team and communication with them is, hey, this should make your life easier, right? This should reduce your barriers to success. Hey, if you don't have to click a number 10 times, 80 plus times a day, because you can click one thing to dial, what is that going to do to your workflow, right? Now your notes are automated and taken for you. No more hanging up the call, taking the note, completing the task, and moving on. Now it's one click, it's done, you're on to the next, right? Just little areas of efficiency like that, that if communicated correctly should be received well, because it's going to allow them to do more. At the end of the day, we're all here to win. And when we say win, we're all here to make money. So if they can do more, they're going to make more. And that's the goal. How do we reduce their barriers to success? How do we allow them to do more? That is the lens we're going to view automation through here at Fide. And we're going to stay in touch with our team in terms of what will help them and what is relevant, because there's a ton of different options, but not every option is the right fit for us. And making sure that you're maintaining that communication with your team is going to ensure that you have the best chance of choosing the right option.
Couldn't agree more. Looking ahead, what areas of the business are you most focused on evolving, whether that's tech, cross-border strategy, or team structure?
For us, probably sounding like a broken record here, David, but the people. We are always looking to develop our people. Right? Just as we talked about, how can we reduce their barriers to success? Well, as we dive into what our people need to be successful, the other areas of the business in which we need to develop more start to become more apparent, right? Hey, I'm getting a lot of quotes in X, Y, and Z mode that we don't service right now. if we could service this mode, I'd have some opportunities. Cool. Well, maybe we need to get into the drayage now, right? Maybe we need to get into the international ocean freight because it's coming across our desk and we have some opportunity, right? So it could be a different segment of the business that we are not currently in. It could be a different market. It could be getting into new modalities. It could also be, like we just mentioned, auto dialers, auto note takers. Can we get an agent that's finds paperwork so we don't have any more of these wild goose chases through emails to find one document so that everybody can get paid, right? Can there be something that allows us to build our one-on-one cookie cutter loads? So when you have 15 of these loads that are now auto built and ready to be completed, you can go build the 20 drop load that takes you 20 minutes and not have to worry about the other 15 that aren't getting done, right? And so for us, it starts with the people. The people lead us in the direction in terms of what they need to be successful, and we try to go out and find the absolutely best tools for them.
A lot of great insights, Zach. So thank you so much for your time today. I hope that everybody on this podcast got something out of it. I'm pretty sure you delivered several nuggets. So thanks, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you back soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. Really appreciate it, and happy to be here.